Hi there and welcome to Ambitious Single Moms, Stories of Strength and Success. I'm Sonja from Your Success Story, Single Mom Level Up Edition, and I'm thrilled to have you here with us today. I'm a mother of 3 wonderful daughters, and when my husband separated from me in 2017, he moved out on a Sunday and the next morning my mother died unexpectedly. During this time, I was although in the middle of chemotherapy. Suddenly, I'm all alone with 3 small children. As a single mom and a businesswoman, I know firsthand how challenging and rewarding this journey can be. When I first became a single mom, I felt overwhelmed and uncertain about the future. But through support and consistency, I've managed to build a life that I'm proud of, both for myself and my 3 children. This podcast is all about celebrating the incredible stories of ambitious single moms who are not only raising their children with love and dedication, but also pursuing their dreams and building successful businesses. Each episode, we will dive into their journeys, exploring the heights and lows, the lessons learned, and the strategies they've used to overcome challenges. My goal is to inspire, motivate, and provide valuable insights for all the amazing single moms out there who are striving to create a better future for themselves and their families. Remember, you are not alone on this journey, and there are endless possibilities when you take charge of your life. Hello and welcome to today's episode of Ambitious Single Moms, Stories of Strength and Success. I'm your host, Sonja Zipser, and I'm beyond excited to introduce our guest of this episode. She's from New York, and I'm so happy that she's prepared to share her story, her journey with you and me. Hello, Franchesca. Welcome to the show.
Hi, how are you? And hello, everyone. Thank you for having me here.
Hi, I'm fine. Thank you. I'm always happy to find single moms who are prepared to share their stories and in order to help other women, to empower other women. So thank you for showing up.
Thank you so much for giving me the opportunity to be here.
Yeah, so you are from New York?
Yes, I live in Manhattan. Yes,
Okay. And you have one son?
I do. I just had him about a year ago last summer. He was due 4th of July, which is a really big holiday here, but he went over by a week. And then I had to have an induction. And then after like 30 hours of waiting, they said, no, we're just going to do a C-section. He's not coming out. Yeah.
Okay. So everything went well?
Yes, it did.
Amazing.
Mhm.
Great. So you had your son 1 year ago and you decided to quit the man, the father of that boy. Why?
Well, a series of events, where it was just obvious it wasn't going to work between us, being in the same household. I always had my own place. He had his own place. And then when we had the baby, we tried to make it work in one place, but that wasn't really possible. I don't think it was the stress of the baby. There were other issues there from before. And then it just seemed like it wasn't for me. And I'm someone who was divorced many years ago, so I know that it's hard to make a decision like that. And I did, in this situation, I did try to make it work. We took a couple months off, even though the baby was a newborn, and we would take turns watching the baby. Then we try to go to therapy, which I recommend for people who also want to see if maybe there's a way to come into some sort of compromise or agreement with the other person. And, I feel like I wasn't really getting anywhere with therapy either, just because the same things kept happening. And then, same things I would talk about would happen in front of the therapist as well, like proving my point. And it's like, well, how much longer can you keep working on something, you know, even when you go to the doctor, there's a point where they can say, okay, there's not much else we can do here, you know. When I was divorced, I remember before I got divorced many years ago in my 20s, I remember I went to therapy for over a year, which was a really long time after you feel like something's not working, to just keep trying to make it work with the same person. So you have to put your own limit on it and see what you're willing to do to resuscitate or improve a situation, you know. And I feel like I tried a lot of different things. Now the baby's over a year old, so you know, we try different things, but it just seems like we just don't get we don't get along well that you know, together anymore. Yeah.
Yeah, sometimes it's like that people don't get along together, but it's great that you tried. And but it's also amazing that you took responsibility for your life and you said, well, it's not bringing me any further and I have to take care of myself and I have to leave that relationship. So you are a great role model already for your son, and it's also important for you that you take care of yourself.
Yes, I think it's really important. I think that when we're like in an environment, whether it's a relationship or even like where you live, the neighborhood, the building, your job, or you have a certain commute and you're constantly interacting with, you know, energy that doesn't vibe well with yours, or that makes you feel like the environment is toxic, or the person, like, you know, every day you're going to this job, or every day you're going to, it could be the gym, it could be whatever, you know, you kind of say, I have to like go elsewhere. This isn't for me. This doesn't make me feel good at the end of the day, or just even coming here doesn't make me feel good. So I kind of distance myself, even though it seemed like, well, how am I going to take care of a baby and go to work and do everything I was doing before? I don't want this to be something that just makes me feel like, oh my God, I'm so overwhelmed. All I can do is work and watch a baby and then go to sleep at the end of the day. Like I wanted to have also a regular life. But part of that, you know, part of me getting my energy back and recovering, because I was still in that postpartum period, which there's like a million other things going on hormonally and psychologically, and your body's different. You know, in addition to have the stress of not getting along with the person that you were planning was going to be like your main help, it can be really mentally, you know, challenging, like to plan something, to say, how am I going to do this by myself? So I'm glad, you know, I have my own place, and you know, I had my own car and I had my own things, and I never had to really depend on him, like, oh well, if I leave him, where am I going to go? And you know, fortunately I wasn't in one of those situations, but so that was slightly easier for me.
Yeah, that's quite often the problem for so many women, that they are so dependent on the husband,
Yeah.
but they don't have a job or not the money, not money. They haven't saved money for things like, oh, you don't save money for for this, of course, but you don't have money saved for every whatever occurs to your life unexpectedly. So yeah, you're working full time, you told me.
Yes, I work full time in healthcare. And, you know, while I was pregnant, it was great. They gave me a lot of maternity leave. I'm not sure what it's like in Europe. I love hearing stories about what it's like in Canada and in other countries. And some countries have no benefits at all. But fortunately, the company I work for, they're a healthcare company. And I got a good 5, 6 months, you know, to stay home, which was really good. Here, they don't do 100% pay in America. It's a certain percentage. And then it kind of varies. You know, you get more benefits if you have a C-section like I did. You get more time off since it was a surgery. So that was good. And it worked out for me versus if I would have had a job. As we mentioned in the pre-interview, you know, I used to work in the funeral industry. So that would not have worked well. I used to be in the military. Like it was just not the right environment to have a child or to even be pregnant. So it sort of happened where I had, you know, when I had a job that was willing to work with me in the situation. Yeah.
Yeah, that's amazing. So we were also talking about at the beginning already about taking care of yourself, and now you're working full time. So how do you enable for yourself to take care? And you have the little boy that needs a lot of time. how do you manage to take care of yourself, for yourself, and practice me time?
Yeah, I do a lot of walking. Even, I track all my walking points. There's so many different ways people can do that. I'm not exactly like a calorie counter. I wanted to go back to, the body I had before I had the baby. As soon as I was able to start walking, I did. Even if it was just to the park and back, just to get outside. It helps just to kind of move. And now that your body's back to where it was, I remember when I gave birth, like afterwards, I was like, oh my God, I can stand up straight. My back and my stomach, like the whole body alignment felt so different to me. Like I had to get used to it again. So I just found things that worked for me, whether it was yoga or meditation, things that were light, nothing crazy. And so I can build, my strength back up and do everything again. And once I was walking again, it's like every chance I get, I take an opportunity to turn it into a workout, whether it's okay, I work from home all day today. So let me just go straight right into it. Let me do a video. Let me do something here. I have my little yoga blocks. I have my mat and, a couple weights. And that's like really basic to have at home. And you can create your own thing and just track what you're eating. Because I feel like if you eat well, you'll also have all the energy you need to watch the baby. I really don't know how people with 3, 4 children do it, where they got the energy to work and watch the baby and be ready in the morning. Like you have to really be physically healthy, whether it's a workout or eating nutritiously so that you can keep up with literally all the demands you have now.
Yeah, I have 3 kids, and yeah, when they were small, it was very hard to take time, and because I had nobody to look after them except my husband at that time, but he was full-time at work, and
Right.
it was more than full-time he was working. So yeah, it was a hard time, but now I also exercise a lot at home. I have my yoga mat as well. I've got some weights, and yeah, and when I go for a run, I start here. So we have some people going to the gym if they have the time, but if you don't have the time, it's best to start from home, doing walks, go for Nordic walking. I don't know if in the
Yeah.
US they do it a lot, but here in Germany they do a lot of Nordic walking with I don't know how you call them, um, or for a run. So I started running 10 days ago, and it's such a good feeling to work
Yeah.
out, and it doesn't have to be long. It's just a bit, and of course, yeah, as you mentioned, taking care of the nutrition you eat. We do not realize how often we eat from a bag or just from the fridge, or yeah, it's just food we, in the end of the day, we don't think about it.
Yeah.
And when we wonder why we feel so heavy, so stuck, and so uncomfortable in our body.
hmm Yeah, I mean, I have my favorite foods, here in America, like Chinese food is very popular. We have so many different cultures here in New York City that, you love Thai food, you want Italian, you want whatever, you can get it.
Mhm.
I love cooking. I do have my favorite foods that I love to indulge in, but, as soon as I saw like a juicer on sale online, I got it, or like a little smoothie making machine and things like that. I will eat out sometimes, just, oh, it's Friday, it's Saturday, let me go out for some sushi, whatever, things I don't know how to make. But then, it's like right back to that balance because like you say, you do feel like heavier, weird, kind of sluggish, I feel like is the word, once your everyday diet is very sugary or very like, foods that are like low vibrational, I would say, like chips and donuts. I love donuts, but I have one in the morning before I start, seeing my patients and walking. And I feel like, okay, I walked all day. I burned it off. I feel like, okay, I deserved it. I don't feel guilty about it.
Yeah, I think it's about really eating it, because I love to eat pizza, but eating it very conscious, and saying, yes, I eat this and I appreciate it. And I'm very grateful for having this because it's so delicious, and you celebrate eating it. I think it's different if you just eat it. Oh, I hope nobody sees it. and then you
Yeah.
eat it like that. I did this. I did it quite often as well. So hiding food and eating because I was so, oh, I need something. And yeah, I think that we need become more conscious about how do we treat ourselves with the right or bad nutrition. That's very important. Yes.
Yeah, that reminds me of a funny story. I was visiting patients again, which is what I do when I'm not working from home from the same company. If I'm home, I'm doing a lot of like data stuff, you know, and putting stuff into the computer. If I'm in the field, I'm visiting the actual person, doing a mini assessment, and then moving on to the next person. So the other day I had a bit of a break and there was just a McDonald's in the area. That's it. And I said, well, you know, I like McDonald's here and there. So I went there, but you know, when you said that about hiding food, it reminds me there was this grandma there with her friend, like an elderly grandma. And she was like, well, I'm just glad I can take this home and eat whatever I want right now that my daughter's not home, you know, and I don't have to sneak it around. I put her through college. I just hope that she lets me eat whatever I want. So it's one of those things where I guess it doesn't matter the age. Everyone feels that way. Like, hey, I have to sneak this around. I don't want to. I just want to eat whatever I want. I was like, this woman, like she can do whatever she wants, but she was talking about that, having to sneak food around from her daughter.
Yeah, amazing.
Yeah.
So you're working as a full-time mom and having that little boy who I think when the kids are still small, they need a lot of occupation, and you're using an app, you told me, and but you're also into spirituality, you told me, and how does that contribute to your well-being?
Yeah, I mean, I have my routines. Everyone that that's into the spiritual has their own little routines. I'm into crystals and essential oils and things like that. You know, some people are into a little bit of everything. I love reading up on astrology, you know. It all helps with the balancing out, you know. It's not just, oh, you know, this person's burning sage again. This really works to clear up, you know, your atmosphere, your space, your mind, the energy around you. I do believe we all pick up energy when we go outside, when we go to work, when we visit the ill, the sick, like I do, or what, you know, when I was working at the funeral home, you're constantly around these sad, grieving families, people from the morning till nighttime, you know, in a different state of grief. And it's very low energy, honestly, you know.
Yeah.
It's not, oh, you walked into your restaurant and, you know, I used to work at a restaurant too many years ago, and it's like, okay, you're happy, everybody's here, they're drinking, it's a great time. No, no, no. At the end of the day, you have all this, again, it's not from the food, but it's this heavy energy that you picked up on. And I feel like, you know, by being spiritually connected and spiritually cleansing myself every day, you know, I feel that my energy is just different. It's more vibrant, it's cleaner. um I'm into Reiki, which I started around the pandemic towards the end. You know, everyone was home and it's like, what am I going to learn now? What am I going to pick up on now? So I really got into that, and I've done so many classes and I've met so many people. And it's one of those things where I don't know everyone in real life, but we connect consistently online, whether it's the Reiki master or, you know, the other people we do classes with. And that does help with feeling connected to others. Like, you know, now when you have the baby, I can't exactly say, well, I'm going to go to a class at 3 p.m. and I'm going to go here. So being virtual and being able to have access to do all these things virtually really helps me.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah.
I like that as well, and it helps to connect worldwide with people.
Yeah.
That's why we can also talk now. You in the US and I'm in Germany, and I'm very happy of this, that we have that virtual possibility. And yeah, it's with everything. So having opportunities and grabbing these opportunities and turn them into possibilities for ourselves, for our life. And I think that's the most important thing in your life, especially as a single mom, that you start seeing opportunities.
Yeah.
So what was for you the biggest challenge? Because you told me that you became late a mom, that you're trying for several years, but then suddenly you became a mom at the end of your 30s, or I don't know if
Yeah.
it's in the English like that, in the late 30s.
Oh, yeah. Happen. I'm really open about it so other people can see, like, what feels impossible sometimes just happens out of nowhere. Or like, people love saying the right timing or when the universe is right, because when I was at, I would say, ripe age, what people consider to have a baby, early 20s, straight out of the military, very fit, I would consistently miscarry, and I had different forms of miscarriage. I had, a miscarriage, which we didn't even know the baby had passed. And then you just randomly find out, then I had a regular miscarriage, and it was a lot. And I got to a point where I thought, well, I don't think I'm not sure I'll be able to have a child. They say everything's healthy, everything was fine with me, which made it a bit more confusing because I did have access to really great health care, and they said there's nothing wrong with you. So you wonder, well, then how come this keeps happening? So many years passed, I got divorced, many, many years passed. And now, like I said, I'm in my late 30s now, over 10 years have passed since all this happened. And then suddenly, out of nowhere, I got pregnant. So it wasn't something I said was like totally impossible, obviously, like, but it happened. It really happened when I least expected it. So when it happened, because of my past history, I did keep it a secret from everyone. I told everyone at work the very last week when I was supposed to give birth, and people are wondering, well, how's that possible? You put the Zoom camera up here and no one knows you're pregnant, as long, as long as they don't see from your chest down. So I kept it a secret. I'm like, is this really going to go all the way through? Because with miscarriages, you might be at 7 weeks, you might be at 10 weeks. You don't know when something's going to go wrong. And even in the funeral industry, I had to bury other children's stillbirth babies, So you always, in the back of my head, I had this, oh my God, is this really going as well as I think it is? And it did. The pregnancy was totally perfect. He was in there an extra week, but aside from that and the 30 something hours of labor, he was totally healthy too. And, I've mentioned that my friends will have children that are now starting college. So when it comes to small children, I don't know a lot of people with small children. Like some of them in my building I've seen now have small babies, but I'm pretty much like learning as I go.
Thank you so much for sharing. I think that's a topic quite some other women can relate to, that they have miscarriages and so on. Sometimes we even don't know if we had some miscarriages. So speaking about opportunities, I think learning about that pregnancy, some opportunities opened and some doors closed for you, because I guess at that age you didn't what would I say, I completely lost the word. So some doors got open, new opportunities, and some doors closed as you didn't expect it. That's what the word was. You didn't expect to get a baby at that age.
No, I still haven't hit menopause or anything like that, but it's at an age where everyone knows like your body's not the same as it was, say, at 27. I was 37, 38, like it's very different, I'm sure, and not just externally, but internally for the body. And yeah, it was pretty unexpected. I was one of those people where I had mentioned to the doctor before, well, should I look into egg freezing and things like that? And they were like, well, that is so expensive, because, at that time, I'm like, well, what if I didn't get pregnant at 30 something? Would I be 40, 41? What should I start planning? What should I start doing here to protect myself in the future in case I do decide I definitely want a child? I wasn't sure what to do. And then out of nowhere, I had the baby, like I said.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, so you told me in our first conversation then that for you it's important to share that the women see it's not the end, a divorce, or if you quit from the partner, or if you go separate ways. why do you want to share especially this message to say, hey, see yourself? What
Yeah.
is the message you want to give the women?
Yeah, it's, I think that we sort of know inside if we're not with the right person or someone we don't want to be with. And sometimes people try to make it work, and you'll have somebody that's in a miserable relationship for 5 years, and on the outside, everything looks good, but inside they're dying, or they wish that they could get divorced. And when I felt like, for example, I wanted to get divorced, one of the first things I did was start looking for online support groups, forums, things like that exist for other people that are in the same situation where they don't really have anyone in real life that they could speak to about that. I'm one of the first people in my family to get divorced, so that was even harder to say I'm going to get a divorce when no one in my family has. To this day, my mother's still legally married to my father, even though they are not really together. Has other children and other people. So it's like, I didn't see myself in that situation. Like, let me just put up with it legally or for appearances like other people do. Like, oh, we have a business together, or we have, oh, what will everyone say in town? No, you have to get over that, because you're like, what's the alternative for you, for your life? Don't your dreams deserve a chance? Don't you deserve to have your life work out, even if it's with someone else or by yourself? You have to give yourself a chance. This isn't what you envisioned, being with someone that would treat you a certain way or speak to you a certain way. There is like another door that opens once you get, to the end of that like dark sort of uh path you have to take, because you do have to make changes. I had to give up my home in the suburbs. I had to give up, having my own driveway and having someone, have an income, like they say, that you lose when you get divorced, and your lifestyle, everything's different. And that was just something I was willing to give up to give myself another chance at living my life happily. And one of the things I tell people is, I remember going to the bookstore and I found this book back then, and it was called I Am Jude, age 10 and divorced. And when I saw that book, it really deals with, women in other countries that get married against their will at a very young age. That's why it said that she's age 10. And I said, well, this little girl can go through it, through with it, which obviously, she probably had help, that I can do this in my 20s, even if it means saying, hey, I'm getting a divorce. I am going to move, again, closer to my family. I am going to give all this up, and I don't care what anyone says. And like I said, I tried therapy, but in the end, I chose myself. Like, you have to choose yourself at one point. And you're like, well, how much longer, do you want to be in the wrong situation? That's
Oh,
the
wow.
yourself. Yeah.
Yeah, so important. Thank you so much for sharing. Yeah, it takes a lot of courage to leave and to choose yourself, but it's absolutely worth it.
Yeah. And then another thing is, like, we all have like our people, people we look up to, people we like, and everyone knows of at least like 3, 4, 5 celebrities they could think of off the top of their head that, you know, are someone's child's mother or child's father, and then they end up with an extended family, like, yeah, I mean, look at J-Lo, look at Kim Kardashian, look at all these women that, and so many people in the music industry as well, because I love music. But you'll find someone that ended up in the same unexpected situation. So you'll see that this is something that happens to everybody. Nobody wants to deal with it. But it's something that is workable,
Yes, for me, it was the same. At the beginning, I always thought, well, I know I'm not happy anymore in this relationship, but I didn't want to quit because of my kids, because I would have felt guilty. And then my husband left me. He made the decision, and it was a strong decision, because at that moment I was also ill with cancer, and I felt guilty for a long time because I didn't provide a whole family, picture family for my kids.
Yeah.
But it's so important that we nourish ourselves and be happy, and then our kids are also happy. because when father and mother argue all the time and are not happy in a relationship,
Sure.
kids sense this and they feel it. And I think, okay, it's normal not to be happy in a relationship. So it's so important to stand up for ourselves, make decisions, and choose ourselves.
Yeah. And I feel like children grow up, and it's not fair for the parents to be in a bad situation, then pretending in front of the children, like living this not fully miserable, but not totally happy life just for, to look good in front of the child. The child's eventually going to be 15, 20, 25. And once they understand what happened, they're going to be like, yeah, I would have left too. Or they could, oh, I wouldn't, why'd you stay? You never know, but you have to think, well, the happier you are mentally and the better you sleep, when you're not sleeping next to somebody you don't like, then the rest of the day just feels better. You're like, I have my cats and I have my baby and I'm totally fine with that for now. I'm also like not looking to rush into anything just to be with someone or just for help. Like some people will be like, well, I kind of need someone to watch my child. Or no, I wouldn't settle for it because you don't want to fall right into another situation out of need, because then you're going to be in that same situation where if you don't get along with the person, you're good. You need them for something. You don't want to need them. You want to be with them because you're happy and, this is what they give you, what you need and from a relationship. But, that is something I hear a lot too, the guilt of I left the parent but I always say, like, one question people ask a lot is, well, if he had the chance to leave you first, would you? Like, if he suddenly get like that, like you said, and they will. I do believe that. Like, if my ex wanted to divorce me first, he would have. Like, they would have pulled. Men are just programmed differently. They're less emotional when they make their decisions, and it's like, this is what I want, and this is what I'm gonna go for, and they just go for it.
Yeah.
Yeah, the baby's there. Yeah.
So thank you very much, Franchesca, for sharing all this. Do you have last words for the single moms out there?
I would say that, if you the baby, that if you want to, if you're debating it and you're not sure what to do, and maybe you don't have family that could help you make a decision. Because like I said, in my own situation, I wasn't really going to ask my mother, who never got divorced, who showed the extreme opposite example, for advice. She was going to tell me to hang in there, which is sort of what she wanted me to do. But how much hanging in there can you do when the other person doesn't cooperate? So I would say, speak with a professional if you have access to that, or even if it's just a couple times, get some sort of counselor or therapist. And if you feel like there's things that you would just be happy, like the pros of leaving this person are just so much better than staying, then definitely leave and start fresh and start all over. It's kind of like, when you see somebody come out of prison after 10, 15 years and you're like, how did you going to start your life again? These people that are wrongfully incarcerated, they start.
Yeah.
People start their life off again at any point, at any age. You could be 50, you could be 25, and you can always go back to school, find a new career, have new kids with somebody else.
Absolutely, yes.
Try to imagine what your life would be like without this person, the possibilities, and if it's doable, just go for it.
Absolutely. Thank you so much.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah, so thank you. Thank you so much for joining us on this episode of Ambitious Single Moms, Stories of Strength and Success. It's been an absolute pleasure having Franchesca share her incredible journey and insights with us today. I hope you found her story as inspiring and empowering as I did. If you enjoyed this episode, please give it a thumbs up and leave a comment below, sharing your thoughts and any questions you have for our guest. Don't forget to subscribe to our channel so you never miss an episode. Your support means the world to us and helps us continue bringing you amazing content. Until next time, stay strong, stay inspired, and keep thriving. See you in the next episode.
Thank you for joining us on Ambitious Single Moms, Stories of Strength and Success. Let's embark on this journey together and rediscover the magic in our lives. Don't forget to subscribe and stay tuned for our next episode.